This week on the Steam Machine Podcast, buckle up, boys and girls. This is not a happy tale. Cue the music. Sadder intro theme this week.
Yeah, I'm doing like a slow sad dance.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me this week is one half of the Destructo Bros.
What's up? It's Willie. We've got busy co-hosts and friends this week as Mikolov is busy with basically the end half of the stuff he was doing for CES and putting together videos for his own channel at Team Retrogue that he wasn't able to do because he was, at the convention. So if you want to hear more from him, please check out Team Retrogue. He'll be reviewing some more interesting gadgets.
Yeah, he's been busting them out here lately, man. He's had a lot of stuff. He's I'm 2 videos behind now. And I thought I was caught up, and now I'm 2 videos behind. I'm like, well, damn.
Yep.
So, but
plus he did that, I like that podcast he did with the other people that he went to CES with. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Seeing all the retro nerds hanging out, and he and the guy in the cowboy hat wore the matching 2-color flannels that I really liked.
Yeah. They sat on opposite sides, which I liked too. It was great.
Yeah. Very, very fashion.
Yeah. That was a great podcast. I do not remember what channel it was on. It wasn't on his channel. I remember that. I think it was on like the game retro gaming communities channel or something like that. But regardless, shout out to those boys. That was a very entertaining show. And shout out to Team Retrogue over on YouTube. Go check him out. If you're interested in handheld gaming, especially handheld PC gaming, he's got you covered.
He's done some controllers and a lot of emulator devices.
For sure. But how you doing, Willie? What you been up to?
Well, man, I've been kind of depressed lately, which is a really cool mindset to have when playing Pathologic 2.
Tell me about it.
So you'll have to excuse me for not getting very far in the game because I've been just dealing with depression, executive dysfunction, bad sleep schedule, all of that. I've been playing more chess, though. At least I have that going for me. But yeah, I need to just get back on the kettlebells and the sleep schedule, man. I feel like mental health often follows physical for me, and the more I can keep a routine, the happier I'll be.
Speaking of chess, I thought of you the other day and then immediately thought against you, if that makes sense.
Oh, no.
I'll tell you why.
Not against
me. Not in a bad way. You'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. I just can't put words
Willie's
together.
Such a fucking fuck up. I can't believe he's playing the Kali system.
No, so I'm on GOG and I'm looking through games that were on sale. And I see Battle Chess. Oh, Willie says hello.
Aw.
That was Diana waving at Willie for listeners because this is an audio format. So I was on GOG and I see a game called Battle Chess. And I was like, oh, what is this? It's a chess game, though, because I'm going to look at it because it's on sale. And if it looks like something Willie would like, I'll send it to him. So I clicked on it. And with a whopping rating of 2.9 stars, I looked through the reviews and then decided against sending it to you. I was like, you know what? I don't know if you'd like this. And then there was another one. No, you go ahead while I look up the name.
No, please. I want to hear which one you're talking about before I do any plugs in case I step on yours.
There's another game that I actually have it on Steam, but it was for sale on GOG and I decided not to send it to you. It's called King's Table, The Legend of Ragnarok.
Okay, I don't know that one.
And let me see what the reviews are like on Steam because they weren't good on GOG. Let's see. It has 3 user reviews on Steam. No, it doesn't. It has 3, 4, 5, 6. And there are 3 good and 3 bad. So take it for what you want.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it's there's every time I see a chess game, I think of you and I'm like, oh, I wonder if Willie would dig this. And then I go and look at reviews. And if it has decent reviews, usually I'll send you a link to it or something.
Yeah, I saw this guy, Chess Vibes, who is usually a pretty good chess YouTuber. He's I think his real name is National Master Nelson Lopez. He played a video game called King of the Bridge on his channel, which is where you play chess against this troll. But the thing is, this chess troll has a 70-page book with all these rules he's made up that change the rules of the game. And you can only see the rule after someone breaks it. So the goal is you have to try to beat him at chess without cheating. But if you call him out on cheating, you get 2 turns in a row.
Wait, what? You have to just guess on whether he's cheating or not?
Well, basically, there's all these alternate rules. I think it's 1 playbook, so I guess after you've played the game through once, you could just speed run it. But basically, he's made a bunch of rules like by the way, pawns can move in all 4 directions or something like that. But you only know that after he either does it and shows you the rule, or he calls you out for making a move that's illegal under his rules.
Okay.
And then it permanently changes the rule book, and you can start new games and play again and keep the rule book until you've kind of figured it out. And then, so it's more of a puzzle game that uses chess as a background.
That almost reminds me of how like playing Triple Triad in Final Fantasy VIII, where you would play with some people and then it would spread a rule where you
fucking random.
Yeah, and then you have to deal with that shit everywhere. God damn it.
I liked every other rule. Random just meant I wasn't good. I was going to lose my good cards and I wasn't going to get the cards I wanted, and I hated it.
Drove me fucking nuts, dude.
The other cool chess game, and I think I've brought it up on the show before, but it's called Shotgun King, The Final Checkmate. And it's kind of a really retro-styled game, but the idea is basically that the Black King kind of became lazy, complacent, and corrupted, that all of his followers switched sides to the white side. And so instead of fighting with an army, he takes a shotgun to the chessboard. And so you're basically playing against, like, you have like 10 floors to climb up, and each floor introduces a card for each side. So you might have, say, a card that gives you additional range for your shotgun or the ability to throw grenades. But then the white side will get maybe like a mutator, like, you know, a queen is added this turn, or for now on, there's going to be an extra queen. Or one of my favorite cards is called Theocracy, which removes the king from the board, but adds 2 bishops. And so instead of killing the king to win the level, you have to kill all the bishops. Okay,
so it switches it up, or not everything is just like a regular game of chess then.
Right.
Okay.
Like, and over the course of the game, you build basically like it's 10 floors. So each floor, both players draw 1 card. You actually get to choose, but you choose between a pair of choices. And so basically by the end of the game, it's very different from basic chess. And also, like I said, you have a shotgun. You're firing at the enemy pieces from a distance rather than getting close to them, but not too far away because it's a shotgun, not a sniper rifle. So your goal is to not do anything that would put you in check under chess rules, while otherwise basically playing kind of like a tactical RPG style combat.
That actually sounds like something I would check out. What was the name of it again?
It's really fun. Shotgun King, The Final Checkmate.
Shotgun King. I'll have to remember to look that up after we're done here.
Yeah, I may have got it from Amelie, but I'm sure it's available on Steam for not too expensive.
I don't mind hitting up Amelie to borrow it.
I feel like that's our show's equivalent to Mr. Bay is Amelie. If you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man. Have you had any good games of chess lately? I know you said that's mostly what you've been doing is just chess stuff. So,
yesterday I streamed a couple of games to Blitz while I was just like in a voice chat with him, and I managed to get some really good swindles out of games I should have lost. Like dropped a queen very early on, but just kept finding tactics until I equalized, and I'm better at end games than people at my rank. So my goal is if I can survive to end game, I'm probably going to win. Got another swindle just from timing someone out who couldn't figure out how to checkmate with his pieces and couldn't take all of mine. So, that's the hazard of playing blitz chess. If you play with a 5-minute timer and you run out of time, you lose the game. So don't play 5 minutes if you're mad at losing by running out of time.
And that's total, right? That's 5 minutes total because you hit the little
5 minutes
time.
per player total.
Yeah. That's like in the games of chess when you're watching them and they make their move and then they hit that thing.
Yes.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then because I'm playing online, it keeps the timer automatically, so you don't have to hit the clock.
Yeah, no, that's the chess I'm used to seeing in like movies and TV and stuff that's them playing and then hitting the thing real quick.
Yeah, you got that clock. Like back in the day, it used to be like 2 separate like analog clocks that wound up, but these days it's all digital.
And even
but you still have to reach over and slap it after you make your move. And I think there's even a rule that you have to do it with the same hand you move the piece. So someone who's ambidextrous like me can't just move a piece left-handed and slap the clock with the right hand at the same time.
That I think I mentioned this recently on the show, that Pixar animation. I don't remember if it was the beginning of Toy Story or the beginning of A Bug's Life, but it's like I think it's one of those two, where it's the old man in the park and he's playing chess, and it ends up turning out that he's playing chess against himself. But even that little thing has the little timer that he's hitting.
Oh yeah, they use those even like the famous chess hustlers in Washington Square Park in New York City. They play with the clock there because most people prefer blitz timing, which is basically less than 10 minutes per player per game.
Have you ever seen the clip of Michael Richards talking with Jerry Seinfeld on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee about playing chess?
I haven't, no.
So Michael Richards used to be very good at playing chess. Like, I don't know if he was a pro at it or whatever, but he was, liked to play. And he fancied himself a pretty good chess player. And he was walking through downtown New York, and there was just this guy sitting on the ground playing chess, just talking to himself. And Michael Richards walks over and goes, all right, would you like to play chess? And the guy goes, no, I don't want to play you. You don't want to play me. I don't want to play you. Very like Rain Man almost. And Michael Richards is like, no, come on, man, let's play a game. And the guy says, okay, I'll play you 2 times. That's it. I'll play you 2 times. That's all we're playing is 2 times. Michael Richards says, okay. So they sit down. He says, all right, so move. Blah, blah. Checkmate. Michael Richards is like, what the hell just happened? And he says, he played chess like I had never seen before. And I've played a lot of games, Jerry. I had played a lot of games of chess. He goes, so now I'm sitting with the guy and I said, okay, buddy, set it up again. Let's play chess. And he beat him even quicker the second time. And he said, Michael Richards just begged this dude, let's play one more game. And the guy was walking away. Nope, 2 times. I said 2 times. I'll play you 2 times. That's it. And he said, dude.
He was visited by the fucking ghost of Paul Morphy or some shit.
He's like, this guy was one of the best chess players ever. But because he's mentally not there and because of where he is at in life, that talent will never be showcased at the way that it should be. But it was a wild story to hear. And it's like, I've seen people like that before.
People with just massive talents at something that are completely wasted because they can't express it because of their life situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just savants in general, just people who are like, they're mentally not there, but like you can ask them a question and they can answer what day and time that it happened and the year and what the star pattern was and all that kind of like, it's baffling to me how the human mind can work sometimes.
True that.
Yeah, man. Is there anything else that you've been up to you'd like to chat about?
I started the game Satisfactory recently, which is a game where you start on a kind of a alien world. I think you're a prisoner or something, and your goal is to make the world habitable for human life because something has gone wrong on Earth. But I might also be mixing this up somewhat with a story from Planet Crafter, which has a similar plot and idea to it. But the difference between Planet Crafter and Satisfactory is a lot more based on trying to build automated systems that convert materials into parts and then convert those parts into further things. So you end up with this huge system of power source generators, conveyor belts, all of that. Surprisingly, I'm at about the half point in the game, and I've just now got the ability to start refining oil, for instance.
That was Jane from Outside Xbox's Game of the Year this year.
It's a really good game. Congratulations to Jane. That is a great choice. It's incredibly addictive, like I kept getting, there's a fatigue warning that comes up every 2 hours you play the game straight. And I kept getting messages like, you've been playing the game for 12 hours. A reminder that Fixit does allow you a 5-minute small break every 2 hours.
Yeah. And I think it was Andy that was like, hasn't that game been out for a while? She's like, yes, but 1.0
it reached
came out.
1.0. Yeah. I actually just got it right after it got to 1.0. So like, I don't know too much about the early access, but even in early access, the game was famous for being A, very satisfying, as the name points out, but B, really just addictive. Like, and one of the coolest things too is you develop more movement technology as you go around. So at first you just kind of had to walk places to set things down, but now I have like a parachute that's basically like the glider from Breath in the Wild that's in half of the open world games these days. And I have the ability to zip line through power lines, which is really fun. And at the tech tier I'm at, I'm close to being able to build a jetpack.
Ooh, yeah. Then shit's on.
Yeah, because I mean, I love having a jetpack in No Man's Sky, and it's very useful in Planet Crafter. So it's nice to have a jetpack. A, so you can get places quickly, and B, so you don't die when you do something stupid. Because Lord knows, I love to do something stupid.
And also, sir, before we move on to things that I've been doing, you sent me a Doom-related video for the new Doom game that came out. I figured that you would want to touch on that as well.
Oh, of course. That's right. Just 6 hours ago, as of time of recording, they at some game developer conference, they have a gameplay sizzle reel for Doom 6 or Doom the Dark Ages. I watched it. I'm very fucking hyped for it, obviously. We have a release date too. The game's coming out May the 15th of this year. So, be a good time to get started on Doom Eternal for sure. But fucking like everything in it just looks so cool. Like it expands on what was seen at the first teaser. And I'm really excited about like, I really want to use the gun that you feed skulls into, and the chainsaw shield, and fly the dragon and pilot the mech. Like, everything in it looks so dope, but it looks like it's like slowed down a little from Eternal 2. It's not as like incredibly frenetic as Eternal was. And apparently, like, each of the games has like a motto. And what Hugo Martin said, the creative director of the new Doom series, is 2016's motto was rip and tear. Eternal's motto was run and gun. This game's motto is stand and fight.
Dude, it looks sweet. And then when he got in that mech, I'm like, is this a fucking kaiju mech battle? And
yeah, welcome to fucking Pacific Rim all of a sudden. It looked insane.
And I want to say that, like, it all looked so smooth. Like, I didn't see any screen tearing. I didn't see any frame rate drop. Like, it looked optimized, which is always a nice thing to see these days. One
of the things that id has been famous for their whole history, but especially in the later id techs, is really optimized engines. Like, they say Doom Eternal runs on a potato laptop, so I'm not even afraid of trying that on my computer sometime soon. Like, and I'm confident I'll be able to play Dark Ages.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, you know, by the time that comes around, I have some extra cashola laying around that I can snag it, because it looks...
Which is funny, too, because the game we played this week I felt some really huge performance issues that were very obvious.
Yeah, yes, it did. But we can touch on that in a bit.
Of course.
I do.
That was just a teaser for later talk.
A little dip your toe in the water situation.
Little aperitif, a little
appetizer.
Hors d'oeuvre. A little Hoover Doover.
Yeah, who these horse d'oeuvres are for?
Horse divorce, right?
Yeah, horse divorce, yeah. So I've been playing a few things.
I've seen you recently on Skyrim. How's that been going for you?
So I installed Novus, which is a big mod pack. Checked it out.
Shut up, Novus.
Shut up, Novus. It's pretty. Ooh, I hit my microphone. It's pretty good. I did end up copying it to a different drive to try out some other ones though, because it was performance heavy on my 4090. Now I don't know if that was just because it's got a lot of stuff packed into it. I figured I'd try some other ones. I installed one last night and finished it up this morning called Lorim, which I've been getting pings in my Discord for. I'm in their Discord, just like all these updates he's been doing. Only problem is I installed it. I started off in the alternate start, started off in Solitude, went to go ahead and get the museum started. It doesn't have Legacy of the Dragonborn.
Oh, that's a breaker for you now?
So I'm just like, so now I'm trying to decide, do I want to play Skyrim? This mod pack has like over 4,000 mods. It's some ridiculous amount, but it doesn't have Legacy of the Dragonborn. But Elysium Remastered.
I feel like you mentioned before that LOTD is like basically your favorite mod, that the Dragonborn Museum is just fucking awesome.
Yeah, I love it, dude. So I took Lorim and I copied it over to my hard drive. And after we record tonight, I'm going to get Elysium Remastered downloading and see how that is, which is a big graphical overhaul, but it also is built around Legacy of the Dragonborn. So I'll be able to get that back. It's just so part of what I do in that game now. Collect things for the museum, that it's weird when it's not there. Did
you ever play Stardew Valley?
Oh yeah.
Were you completionist about the museum in that game? The museum or the village center, now that I think about it. Both of those seem like a lot of collect stuff type things.
I don't remember seeing a museum in Stardew Valley, but maybe
it's a library, but there's a place where you can put artifacts and they're displayed.
Oh. I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, you go in the library and you can display it's like okay. I wasn't a super completionist with that, but anytime I found stuff for it, I was always very happy. Like Animal Crossing. I was big on doing the museum there. I've started playing a game that's still in early access called Fields of Mystria.
Oh yeah, I've seen you on that a bunch.
And that's a Stardew Valley type game. And I recently got to where there's a museum I can put stuff in, and I'm like, yes. Because I like to collect stuff and I like to be able to put it on display.
You saying Stardew Valley reminded me of another game I've actually started playing really recently, and one that I think has show potential actually. Because the graphics are not Stardew Valley. So you saying Harvest Moon is what reminded me of it. There's this little game called Web Fishing. The character design is very Animal Crossing-esque, and it's just this cute little game where you can go fishing with your friends and you're these cute little animal characters. And there's a little bit of exploration, a lot of customization, and it's just. I played it for like a few hours with Blitz last night. It was a very satisfying game.
I'd be down to check it out.
I think it's like $5 or something too.
That's
maybe.
not bad. That's not bad. And I like.
I'll check.
I like
I'll double
games.
check that before. I'll double check that before I recommend it. But it has a lot of stuff to do in it. Like freaking it's $4.99. Like there's even like a working guitar in it that you can buy the guitar and then program in chords and then play the chords yourself like in real time.
Well, that's cool. It's kind of like you can do that on Final Fantasy 14 if you're a bard. There are like different.
I have heard about that. Bards putting on concerts together and stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool. You walk into a town and there's like 4 different people sitting around playing something. It's really, really neat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been dabbling with some Skyrim mod packs. Like I said, I'm gonna try Elysium Remastered.
So what's the big selling point of Fields of Mystria so far?
Fields of Mystria. It's like Stardew Valley with some better quality of life stuff. It's very cutesy. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, to me, I guess it's like also the developer is very active in listening to what people suggest and, critiques and things like that. And he's pretty good about updating and fixing things. So that's been,
love to hear that. I feel like that's one of the reasons NGU Idle turned out so strongly was the main developer 4G or something, depending on what site you know him from, like was constantly listening to his players on like Congregate, on the Discord, on the Something Awful Idle Games thread, on Reddit, and just really making sure that every change he made was player focused and people thought that they were cool.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to his next brick too, because it looks like the base system of NGU 2 is going to be basically like the battle system for Mega Man Battle Network. It looks crazy.
Well, that'll be interesting. So I don't know if I touched on this last time we recorded, but I beat Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous.
Hell yeah, congrats. That's a long boy.
It was a long boy. It was a fantastic game. And I kind of want to play through again eventually and do like an evil playthrough and see how that goes. But I think I might play through Kingmaker first, or I want to play through Baldur's Gate 3 and finally beat that.
Wow, that's a lot of potential hours for RPG gaming there, friend.
Well, yes, it is. I have
heard that it is satisfying to play all of those games and see like the different routes that there's really good different writing, or at least like 6 main tales you can follow essentially. I
will say that I recently purchased Pathfinder Kingmaker on GOG, so I now have that as a DRM free / sendable to your friends version. So you just
I see.
Keep that horrific thought in your back pocket.
That just means one day when you think we have 80 hours to kill in a week, I might suddenly hear them words.
Oh no. If I brought up Kingmaker, I would not expect y'all to beat it. It would just be like, just play it and let's just talk about like the writing and the party and all the characters and all of that. Like if you guys decide you want to beat it, that's fine too. But I wouldn't expect, even if we did a short game and have a month, I still wouldn't expect y'all to beat it.
That makes sense to me.
But yeah, Wrath of the Righteous, 9 out of 10. Just fantastic.
Hell yeah.
What else? Oh, I started and beat the Stick of Truth. South Park, the Stick of Truth. I just had a hankering to play it, and I just sat down and I played through it, and it was, that game's great. That game, like, I might bring that up for the show again sometime to play that with you boys, or choose, like, the sequel, The Fractured Butthole, which is more superhero-based, whereas the first one is more like Lord of the Rings style game. I'll say gameplay, but it's really just like what the kids are pretending to be.
And that was like an episode of South Park, right? Where they were doing Lord of the Rings with the porno DVD. Is it kind of like the similar in vibes to that?
Yes. It's almost like the game is a continuation of them playing that in the show. Cool, but then you're the new kid in town. So you get to create your little kid. And like, of course, there's South Park jokes like in the Fractured Butthole when the difficulty slider is the color of your skin, but that's not actually a difficulty slider. It's just what Cartman calls it. Right. In the first game, one of the classes that you can choose is Jew, which is like your cleric. And that's what I chose because there's an achievement that you get for finding Jesus in the game as a Jew, and it's called Are We Cool? But when you choose that, you go, Cartman goes, oh, so you're going to be a Jew. Guess we'll never really be friends then. It's just like, it's just the game is loaded with South Park humor. And it's quite funny. Morgan Freeman's in it in the second one. And it's great. It's great. So yeah, I had a lot of fun playing through Stick of Truth. That was my first -1 of the year.
Congrats.
No, I take that back. Wrath of the Righteous was my first -2, but then I got a -1 for that. But I picked up, I feel like it was Jeff telling me that he really loved Jazz Jackrabbit, in those games. So like I saw them for sale and for like $1, the Jazz Jackrabbit collection on GOG. So I snagged that. So I got a +1.
It's like an ideal GOG type of game because it's like an old Apogee, I think, DOS game that I can't remember if it was Apogee or id. It was someone from like the Wolfenstein type people, but maybe it was Epic. Actually, I think it was Epic. Wasn't it Epic Mega Games that made that?
If you give me just a second, I can tell you.
I'm absolutely blinking now. But it's like that's the exact kind of game that I feel like GOG was put out to preserve in the first place, you know? Like MS-DOS stuff that wouldn't work on today's systems that they get running for you.
Yeah, it's very, very helpful. Yes, that was Epic Games.
I think they were still called Epic Mega Games at the time.
On here, it just says Epic Games /Epic Games. But I believe you're right. Epic Mega Games sounds correct.
I think they were still going by Epic at least through like Mega Games through at least 2008 or 1998 or so. I think Jazz is from like 93. I want to say.
It says
I think it was like
August 1st.
Contemporaneous with Duke Nukem.
August 1st, 1994.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably why I also associate it with like Apogee and id because then it made me think of Duke Nukem, which was a 3D. Wait, no, the original Duke Nukem was Apogee. 3D Realms was Duke Nukem 3D. I loved a lot of those PC side-scroller games. Like Jill of the Jungle was a cool one, I remember.
I have that on GOG as well. I think that's a free game on GOG, actually.
Yeah, I think I actually got it on GOG as well, but I remember playing it on like Game Empire CD-ROM shareware discs back in the day. I know I got that and Tyrion 2000 for free on GOG, and I've fucked with Tyrion 2000 a couple times. It's a lot harder than I remember.
Let's see what else. I've been dabbling in Pillars of Eternity. That's a fun game. Haven't decided if I want to commit myself to playing through another CRPG at the moment yet, though. Fucked around a little bit in Subnautica.
Ooh.
That game has a VR mode, and I don't know if I'll ever play it.
Oh, yeah, I'm told that game is all about like how terrifying the depths of the sea and the size of everything is. So VR sounds like it would be absolutely vertiginous.
Yeah, you want to talk about thalassophobia of the game? I have like this weird thing where I don't like being out in open water personally. I didn't think it would affect me in a video game, but like, dude, there are parts of that game where like, if you're not using your flashlight, you can't see shit. And
when you're done playing stuff like that in Iron Lung, you should really play like Endless Ocean to get a chill version of that shit.
Yeah. So, I just looked at it over here. So I don't know if I've talked about this on episode, but I know I definitely told you about it, and I told Diana about it. So I have a game called Pools. We've talked about this before. It's a liminal horror game. Yes. Well, they just recently added a VR version. So when I was checking out, when I put on my VR headset, I was like, oh, let me see what this is about. So I'm wandering around in the pools area, and I'm like, man, this is really cool, but it's also wild. Like, it made me want to try one of my Backrooms games that has a VR mode too, right? So it's like,
I was literally just thinking about Complex found footage if it has a VR mode.
So I'm meandering around, and I end up having to go through this tight space, and I end up in this hallway where the only way to go forward is to walk down into this pool, right? So I walk down into the pool, and in the game, in the VR, it is up to neck level, the water. So I'm maneuvering through it, and I can see the staircase I'm going to get out. And it's about that time that I didn't hear, because I'm immersed into this thing, Lilith come into my room. And I am submerged in my head, neck deep in this water, and I'm moving. And all of a sudden, I just feel something come up and boop me in the leg.
It's a shark.
And
it's an alligator. Run, bitch.
I about shit my pants, Willie. And I lifted that thing up real quick and looked, and it was Lilith, and she was just looking at me with that little old derpy smile of hers. And I was like, oh, I don't think you realize you just about killed Daddy. And I gave her some pets, and she wandered off, and I was like, all right, gonna start closing my door when I play VR. Maybe even locking it. Because, oh boy, that was probably a bigger scare than anything I could have seen in the game. Although, like, if you look, here's the thing about pools. If you look at the game description, it tells you there are no monsters in this game. If you look at all of the comments, people say, hey, don't worry, there are no monsters in this game. And what does that make you think? It makes me think there are absolutely monsters in that game.
I mean, there was like in Complex found footage, there was that squiggle guy in the office space that I think I was the only one that ran into.
Yeah. This one, they say that there are no monsters. Like, you just, if there are.
It just makes you think we're absolutely going to run into a deep sea fangly fish.
Yeah. And they said that anything that you think is a monster, you are creating in your own head.
Ooh, that's a really good saying.
So I'm like, fuck. So now I really don't know. I mean, I guess I should just play it. I don't know. But yeah, apparently it's just like that game's atmosphere and soundscape just fucks with you.
I see. Here's the problem with VR is I really, really would be way too tempted to fuck with someone playing a VR horror game. Like I saw like the Game Grumps doing, I think Resident Evil 4, and like of course Dan is watching Aaron play, and he's like, "Oh, I've got to mess with him," and just kind of comes up behind him and like, "Hey!"
Oh, see, there's a rule. There's a rule in my house. You are not allowed to touch or fuck with the person with the VR headset on because that's up.
The problem is I have very poor impulse control.
That's fair. Well, Pools has a non VR version too, so there is that. If it ever came up for the show or something, because I think it was free. It might have been cheap.
I keep comparing it to fucking Complex, but like in a similar vein, I would love to do something like that because I feel like Complex is out of all the games we played for free game week, one of the ones that stuck with me the most. It's got to be up there with like the Static Calls My Name.
Oh yeah, it was done very, very well. I guess the only other thing I have to talk about before we can get into some game chat or what we have of it, Mikolov for my birthday. I guess I should mention it was my birthday recently, and I do have something to talk about that too. Oh, thank you very much, my good sir. You can see the banner
as we record this episode, it is between our birthdays, as mine is coming up in like 2 days, and yours was I think like 2 days ago.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yours the 25th.
Yes.
Yeah. January babies unite.
What's up, Aquarius gang? Wait, are you Aquarius or are you just over the line?
I am Aquarius. Yes, sir.
Hell yeah, Aquarius gang!
I know they tried to change it at one point and tell me that I was a Capricorn, and I was like, nah.
At the very minimum, you're a cusp of Aquarius, so I'll let you in the door.
The dawn of Aquarius.
You are the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Shit, that's really good.
But Mikolov got me Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade.
Oh, hell yeah.
Now, famously, I like Final Fantasy VIII more than I like Final Fantasy VII.
You're known for this opinion and have stated it on Final Fantasy and non-Final Fantasy episodes alike.
Yes, and when we did Final Fantasy VII, we all pretty much agreed, like, maybe we'll get around to remake one day, but none of us were really in a rush, right?
Right, yeah.
Well, Mikolov went and bought it for me, so I'm like, well, let me start trying to play it. God damn it, if that game isn't fucking sweet, Willie.
I've got to say, man, from just what I've seen, like, it really feels like they've expanded on so much of the world in the original game without losing the vibes. And if anything, like, it feels like this might be the Final Fantasy VII product that understands Final Fantasy VII the most since the original PlayStation game.
Yeah.
Because I still feel like all the stuff in between had all these terrible misinterpretations of the characters. Like, there's how they're portrayed in FF7, and then there's how they're portrayed in Advent Children and Crisis Core and all that other shit.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I did a battle with Barrett, and at certain battles you can switch between characters. So you switch over to Barrett, and he's like, need my help, Merc? And things like that. Hey. But like I finished a battle, and I hear Barrett go, and I was
that's
like,
wonderful.
That's fucking awesome.
That's something a fucking Neptunia character would do.
Yeah. Absolutely, dude, and one of the characters does it in Final Fantasy 15 too. Like you'll beat a enemy and they'll just go da 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 da. Like it's wonderful. But yeah, I'm having a great time with it. So I'm like, all right, maybe I'll see this out. I know there's like some weird story differentiations and stuff, so I'm interested in seeing where those go.
Yeah, I think that my understanding is that they fleshed out Zack Fair a lot more in the remake.
I feel like,
whereas in the original game, he's basically just the guy you thought you were.
And this version comes with the, I guess, Intergrade part, which is the side story after you beat the main game. It's like all about Yuffie.
Oh, cool. I liked Yuffie.
I liked Yuffie too. So being that it was my birthday, Diana and I went out to Jacksonville, hit up a couple museums. We went to the Cummer Arts Museum in Jacksonville.
I'm sorry?
It's yes, I know, Willie. It's called the Cummer Arts Museum. Believe me.
Do they have any fucking Jackson Pollock paintings?
No, there wasn't Andy Warhol.
Oh, fair enough. So I just thought Jackson Pollock's art of all things looks the most like the process that the name sounds like.
Just a copy of Metallica's album of Load.
Oh, that's right. The album cover art that's actually straight up just blood and cum mixed
blood up. And it is, yeah. No, it's called the Cummer Arts Museum. It was Madam and Sir Cummer. I don't remember their names, but it's cool, man. Like when you go in there,
good for them.
On the bottom floor, they have like this area that's a recreation of their living room from whenever they lived and stuff, and it was like very old timey wooden. It looks fucking cool. I took a bunch of pictures in there.
That's very nice.
In fact, I posted one. No one even commented on how pretty of a picture it was, bastards. But I took some pictures of the flowers in the garden area, And it's just that whole garden that they have is beautiful. You go out the door and there are 3 types of gardens. There's an Italian garden, there's an English garden, and there's another type of garden that started with an O that I can't remember the name of it. But they were all beautiful. I preferred the flowers in the English garden, but I liked the layout of the Italian garden. So if I could do like an English-Italian mix, it would have been ideal for me. But man, they had, again, this tree out there that I took a picture of me leaning up against it, and I look small compared to this tree, and I am not a small person. Absolutely massive. Awesome. Has limbs that branch out 20, 30 feet, just up and down and all over. It was crazy to look at. So you go through all the museum. It's all on the first floor, and there's just a bunch of different sections, and the art in there is beautiful. Highly recommend it if you're in Jacksonville. And then we went from there to MOSH, which is the Museum of Science and History. And
cool.
The Museum of Science and History in Jacksonville has seen better days, my good sir.
Not as cool as I thought.
But also, it's more of a museum that's geared towards kids. So there's a lot of wear and tear where you can tell just kids just walk up and like touch signs and they wear away and things like that. But it was cool. It was a little disappointing for me and Diana, kind of just meandering through there and being like, oh, we thought there were going to be more to this, because we get there and the guy says, oh, we're giving a discount today because there's some construction going on the second floor. We're like, oh, okay, yeah, no worries.
Hey, the other garden is the Olmsted garden.
Olmsted,
I think
yes.
Olmsted is the guy that's the guy that designed all the city parks in Louisville.
Oh, really? Well, that was a very nice garden. I just couldn't remember the name of it for nothing. Yeah, Olmsted.
I just had to look it up because you had me confused. Like, I'm like, what O word could it be a country? Because like the only word I could think of was Omani, and I wouldn't think Oman would be, as like, not that it's not like a known country, but it feels weird that it would be English, Italian, and Oman.
Yeah, Olmsted. And they were all beautiful in their own right. It's just like the layout of the Italian garden. I just really liked it.
Yeah, it sounds cool. I gotta check. I haven't been to a botanical garden in so long. I went to one in like Nashville that was really pretty.
There's a whole area in the Cumber Museum that gets rotated quite regularly because it's all paper. And there's a thing on the wall that explains that paper art gets degraded by natural and artificial light. So they rotate them out. And we just happened to be there while they had out what is his name? It's the Chinese emperor. It's the Andy Warhol. It's the 4 paintings of the Chinese emperor that he did in the different colors and stuff. And I was like, wow, that's cool. Even though like Andy Warhol's a strange dude, and everything I've ever learned about him just makes me think he was probably a pretentious douche. But like, it was cool to see his art. You know what I mean?
Andy Warhol seems like one of those guys that it feels weird because he's like the most art hipster type while also being the art for art's sake everyman type at the same time. Like, he'll just paint a bunch of fucking soup cans and then he'll go together and he's going to make a rock band, and it's like, it turns out to be the Velvet Underground, which was like 50 years ahead of their time making alternative rock.
Yeah. And then he'll do that, and then he'll be like, all right, now this next art piece, I'm just going to sit in front of his camera and quietly eat a hamburger.
Exactly.
And then wipe my mouth, throw it away, and the art piece is over. Man, I saw a guy do an art piece the other day, Willie, and this is why I think that we could be modern artists and make money, because this dude's whole thing was he had a huge group of people around him, and he had like 7 or 8 buckets of sand, full buckets of sand stacked up on top of one another. And he walked up to the bottom bucket and he poked a hole in it, and the sand started to leak out of it. And after enough sand leaked out, the tower fell, all the sand spilled, and he went, ta-da. And that was it. And everybody clapped, and it was over.
This feels like a David Blaine stunt without the part where it was hard to do.
It was very strange. I get what it's kind of going for. Where it's like, if you take out the bottom, then the rest of it falls. Like, everybody relies on everybody type thing. But like,
yeah, but building things on a foundation of sand is such an ancient metaphor. It's literally found in the Bible. An hourglass as a symbol of impermanence is basically the oldest symbol in the world. Like, there's nothing new there other than you've brought it to physical life, which might have been spectacular looking. I didn't see the thing you're talking about, but sheesh, dude.
Yeah, it was kind of pretentious to watch, but I watched it. So then we left the museum, and then we went to Fizzy's and I don't remember the other. It's Fizzy's and something. And it's just like a place that's attached to a Sweet Pete's. So you go in there, and there's a candy shop on the right. And then you go upstairs, and there's an even bigger candy shop. But when you go in on the right, there's a candy shop. And on the left is a soda shop / bar.
Okay, cool.
So
cool.
This is where I got the Sweet City cream ale.
Oh, you got the.
And then I got the Dr. Sprecher.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that being really awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to try those because I never had them, but they had all kinds of sodas over there. They're dude, like, so you know, like when you go to the movies and you get the chocolate covered cookie dough bites, they had a soda that was that flavor. They had jalapeno soda.
You're hugely making me miss, I think it was called Rocket Fizz in Nashville, that had a ton of weird sodas. Like when I grew up, I thought the Jones soda made weird shit. Yeah. But holy crap, there was some crazy shit there.
Oh yeah, dude, this place had mustard soda, buffalo wing sauce soda, habanero soda. There were all kinds. And then they had a bunch of different kinds that were just regular cola. And that's what I always like trying, is like different kinds of just straight up cola, because it's like I'm so used to Coke and Pepsi that when you have one that's like I don't want to say off brand, but you know what I mean, a not popular brand, and it's almost like, oh man, what region is this from? Because this tastes almost like a regional soda. Like it's like, this isn't going to be what you have nationally. This is like what you go and get out of the cooler in a gas station in Detroit or something. And you're just like, what is this? Oh, this is real Faygo. I got you.
But man, actually, if you're interested in weird colas, I don't know if the recipe is still the same as it was at the time, but I remember as a kid at the dollar store had Shasta Cola, and it had a taste that at the time I really thought reminded me of those squeezy popsicles. Although now that I think about it, what it tastes the most like is Diet Coke from a soda fountain, but with sugar instead of with the artificial sweetener.
Makes me think of Shasti. I feel like I remember that name.
Shasta McNasty.
Shasta McNasty. Was it Tab?
Tab, yeah, that was the saccharine flavored Diet Cola.
Yeah, it was like the Coca-Cola aimed at girls back in the day. Even though I liked it. It was the first Diet Coke made by Coke before they made Diet Coke, and they continued it for a while. I was still able to get it at Value Market in town a few years ago. I don't know if they still can have it or not, but there's like a picture of me on Facebook with a can of Tab. I like that stuff. It's pretty good. So once we left Fizzies and whatever it was called, I'm going to call it Funkelsteins. Fizzies and Funkelsteins. I don't remember the name. That's not what it was. We drove into Fruit Cove over the bridge, which is near Switzerland.
No, it's not. Switzerland is in Europe.
There is a Switzerland, Florida, my good sir, and I didn't know that. And I drove through it on the way home.
That's bullshit. They can't have all that stuff in Florida. I can't believe they fit all of Jupiter in there.
Yeah, right. We got Jupiter. We got Uranus.
You completely flubbed that, man. You're just like, they got. Fuck! I should say something. It's because
I just said Switzerland, and my brain left my brain. That's why they call it dope. But yeah, so we get to this place. I had been looking up restaurants, and she had been sending me some restaurants, and I was like, I just really want some Italian food. And
always a good choice. Let's go eat some Italian food.
My dad's like, I don't know any good Italian places in Jacksonville, just so you know. Like, so don't get your hopes up. So
I know this really authentic New York place called Sbarro.
So I'm looking.
I think that's an Office joke.
I'm looking on Google Maps, and it's giving me a 30-minute range. And I'm like, man, there's just nothing. And then I realized it's a 30-minute walk range I'm looking from the museum. So I put in 30-minute drive range. So then it starts bringing up all these other places. And it shows me one in Fruit Cove called Bella Vista. And I start looking into it, and I'm like, this place sounds awesome. So we go there. It's quite of a drive, but like I would make that drive just to go to this place and eat. The hour and 10 minutes or whatever it would be. So we get there. There's a head shop next door. Diana makes me go in there. She gets me this.
Oh, that's a lovely glass piece. It's very blue.
This is rubber.
Oh, it's not glass at all until you clicked it and made that noise.
This part's glass, but everything else is rubber, and it's got like blue sugar skulls all over it. It's cool. Yeah.
So for listeners who can't see what we're looking at, it's what they used to have in head shops. They have the little sign that says, "If it rhymes with chong, it's wrong."
Yeah,
this is called a water pipe.
It's a water pipe or a bubbler.
Bubbler. I like that. It was always water pipe at the ones I remember going to as a kid.
Yeah, I think I've told you the story before, but I'll tell it again. Where I was
I say as a kid. I mean, like when I was in my teens, 20-somethings.
I'm in a store in Gainesville, and we're in the head shop, and I'm looking at a hookah, and these three people come in, and this dude, gay as the day is long, black guy, is on the phone, and he's like, "Yeah, we into weed smoking store." And the guy behind the counter goes, "Dude, you can't call it that." And the dude on the phone looks at him and goes, "Oh, my bad." And then he goes back on the phone. And he said, "I can't call it the weed smoker store. I got in trouble for calling it the weed smoker store. You can't call it the weed smoker store." I was brilliant. Dying, bro. I was dying laughing. So we go on from there. She's like, "Pick something." Because if we get home and you're like, damn, I should have picked something, then I'm going to smack you upside the head. So pick something and I'll get it for you for your birthday. So that's what I got. So then we go.
It's a lovely piece. I really like it.
We go next door. Well, I'll let her know that you said that.
Of course.
I go next door and we go into Bella Vista and they're like, do you want to sit inside or outside? We're like, well, let's sit outside. And they had heaters, like propane heaters that they turned on out there. So it was toasty. And, bruh, they brought out, the first thing they just bring out is some fresh baked homemade or, in-house made bread and olive oil, herbs, and balsamic vinegar mixed together. Just that classic. Man, this bread was so good. But looking on the menu, she ordered.
Yeah, what'd you get, champ?
She ordered fried zucchini.
Okay.
I ordered veal parmigiana.
Okay. That is definitely something I always consider. Every time I go to an Italian place, I'm like, I could try the veal parmigiana, I could try the shrimp diavolo, but I'm probably just going to get a calzone because I love them.
So I'm like, usually I just go chicken parmesan, but if a place has veal parmesan, I'm like, let me at least try it because I do.
Veal is a fairly rare meat to get. It's like duck or goat. I feel like you have to get it when you can.
So let me back up real quick.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to keep interrupting your story.
No. The waiter comes up to the table first and he's like, hey, how are you doing today? Would you like some water, some tap of water or Pellegrino? Or he's just like, and dude is Italian as fuck.
I could tell based on the fact that you were slamming your hand around the whole time you were saying that.
when we were in the head shop, the guy ringing us up was like, you guys going next door for dinner? He goes, I said, yeah, I looked it up and it sounded really good. He goes, yeah, Italian food made by Italian people. Who would have thought? So the owner's name is Giovanni and he's Italian. So he, and
he runs Team Rocket. Incredible.
I was going to say, yeah. And in his spare time, he's a
damn it. Didn't mean to step on your joke, brother.
No, quite all right. So, I got the veal parmigiana, but we also got, as we were going to get it and share it, it ended up being Diana's dish that I got to try because it was I have to say it the way she likes, cacio e pepe.
Cacio e pepe. What does that mean?
Cacio e pepe. So,
cacio e pepe.
Yeah, cacio e pepe. So they come to your table with a wheel of Parmesan cheese.
And then they catch you a pepe.
And then they catch you a pepe. So what it is they take this Parmesan cheese wheel.
They catch your pee-pee.
And it's laying on its side, and they take a spoon and they scrape fresh cheese from this wheel. And then they take the pan, and the pan just has a little bit of pasta water and the fettuccine in there, and they pour it in, and they they pour it onto the cheese wheel. So then they crack a little pepper onto your plate, and they mix the cheese in with the pasta and the water, and then they just put it on yes, if you would like, we can go tomorrow. Diana's like, can we go back tomorrow? So,
hell yeah. You said it was worth the drive.
You do this. He's literally explaining. She has it on video. I posted it in the Discord. If people want to watch, bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters. Check the Om Nom Nom channel.
That's what that video was. I didn't get the context for it. Okay, cool.
So he's mixing that, and he's just like, it has 3 ingredients. It's the cheese, it's the noodles, and it's the black pepper. And then there's just a little bit of pasta water and I think a dash of olive oil. And like, that is it. And he just mixes it up and he puts it on the plate. And then he takes a spoon and he scrapes up all the cheese that's slightly melted from mixing in and around inside the wheel. And he puts that on top and he cracks a little more pepper on there. That's it. Just fresh pasta, Parmesan cheese, and some black pepper.
Listen, dude, I am an American of Welsh extraction whose favorite food is probably Mexican. Do you have any idea how food horny you're making me by talking about this melty cheese?
Dude.
Melty cheese is in my DNA, dog.
Willie, when I tell you that it was the best pasta I've ever put into my mouth, not only that...
You're driving me there. I'm coming.
I was going to say, come on down. We'll go. Diana said that she wished she'd have gotten a picture of my face when I took my first bite of the veal parmesan because, dude, it was just like, I could have nutted. Like, it was so good.
I haven't been to an Italian restaurant in so long, and you're not helping.
Dude, it was quite good. If you ever end up down here for whatever reason, I'll definitely like take you over and we'll go to Bella Vista.
That's a tough question because that means that I would be eating that instead of asking you to smoke me some meat.
No. See, it could be.
It's not either or. Okay, I got you.
It could be both.
See, this is why you a homie. This is why you are a homie.
Because you got to do take you out to dinner and then cook the dinner at home for the boys. So that would be what we do.
You are a gracious host, my good sir.
That is one thing I try to be, is a gracious host, my man. That is one thing I try to do. But yeah, other than that, man, I dabbled.
What was that stumbling on my man? What were you going to say the first time?
I think I was just going to repeat what you had just said, and I didn't want to use the same thing that you had said.
I was just trying to crack you up because you were putting snuff into your mouth the moment I was talking.
Man.
The implication was dark.
I fell down a rabbit hole probably like a month and a half ago now of just
How'd you get out?
Watching people on YouTube.
Fucking dad. I'm about to turn 40, man. I can make dad jokes.
People on YouTube who just have like channels that are about tobacco.
Yeah.
Apparently people take nasal snuff real seriously.
I know nothing of nasal
So
snuff.
I didn't really know much about it either because I used to have a buddy of mine who would pull it out and he would snort it. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, it's tobacco. And I was like, well, why are you snorting it like cocaine? So nasal snuff, you take it and you put a little pile of it on the back of your hand here and a little about the width of your nostrils, right? And then you inhale it through your nose, but not like breathing in. You go and just pull it into your nose, and then it literally just sits in your nose like dip would in your lip. It's the strangest thing, but it's a European thing. It's big over there, apparently.
I feel like someone in like Liechtenstein or something is just playing a prank on everyone who goes there.
I know. I also learned that
it's the drop bearers of Europe.
You know, snus is really popular in Europe. The little pouches of tobacco.
Yeah, my dad uses the on kind, I think.
In Europe, they don't...
Which is a lot better than the chewing tobacco he used to be on when I was younger. I accidentally drank out of a couple spit cans every now and then. Trauma. Nathan is hearing this and he is not... He just retched.
Yeah, I know y'all's pain, except it was my own. You know, in the work truck, grabbing the wrong Gatorade bottle.
Homie, It's worse when it's someone else's.
Oh, yeah, I can only imagine, dude. I can only imagine. But, you know, I put mine in my bottom lip. Every now and then I throw it under my top lip. Apparently in Europe,
just to spread the cancer around.
They take the snooze patch and they throw it right in the top lip. Like that's standard over in Europe. I didn't realize that.
So your mustache can taste.
I figured it's because it's less noticeable when you put it up here. It doesn't affect your speech as much. But
oh yeah, because there is definitely dip speech.
Oh yeah, Megan used to call me out on it all the time. She's like, I can tell when you put a dip in when I'm listening to the Abs Pod. I'm like, I'm sorry, that show goes on for hours and hours. I need tobacco. But
shit, you're lucky I'm not on cocaine on that one. It goes 9 hours sometimes.
But yeah, the only thing when I put it in my upper lip is it really makes my nose run. I assume because of, you know, it being so close to the nasal passageway up there. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you could use the exercise, fat body.
I'm going to attempt.
Sorry.
I'm going to attempt.
You didn't even acknowledge the damn joke, and I felt so bad about it.
To quit later this year, but we'll see how that goes.
You got a plan? You trying to switch over to vape, or what's the plan?
My plan is probably to buy a lot of packs of gum and just constantly chew gum, and maybe that is the classic. That is what they did before nicotine gum was to go to freaking double mint. Well, and here's the thing too: I cannot afford nicotine gum nor nicotine patches. They are stupidly. They are insanely and stupidly expensive.
I would believe they're stupidly.
Like I think it's $30-something for a pack of gum.
Hell no, that's insane.
Or it might have been
stupidly.
Or it might have been $30-something for the patches, but you get like a week's or 2 weeks worth of patches for $30-something. Like it's some ridiculous like expensive.
It can't be more expensive to quit smoking than it is to do it.
No, it is. It is. Unless like I know I could probably do that. They have Tobacco Free Florida. It's like a 800 number / website that literally the Florida government will help you quit. But
you better get on that before Ron DeSantis finds out that anything good is happening in Florida.
Ain't that the truth? And speaking of the world and the way things have been going lately, brother, we played a depressing game called
What a segue.
And let me go ahead and I will do the obligatory Wikipedia bullshit. Let me get that pulled up right quick. Pathologic 2, known in Russian as Moh, romanized as Mor, or translates to pestilence, is a 2019 horror-themed role-playing game developed by Russian game development studio Icepick Lodge and published by Tiny Build. Pathologic 2 was originally conceived of as a remake of the developer's earlier 2005 game Pathologic, but during development grew to encompass a much greater scope. The game has variously been described as a remake, a reboot, and a remaster, and draws elements from all three. 3 storylines had been planned for the game, mirroring the stories of The Bachelor, The Haruspecs, and The Changeling from the original Pathologic. The game was released with the story of The Haruspecs on the 23rd of May 2019, and on the 7th of October 2024, it was announced that the Bachelor's route would instead be released in 2025 as a standalone sequel, Pathologic 3, with a dramatically different gameplay and scope. A playable demo came out for Pathologic 2 December 16th or 2016 called The Marble Nest with its own short story and is free. So if anybody wants to go play that, that is widely available and free. But yeah, man.
So yeah, we've played a Slavic game for the first time. And what was the last Slavic game the show has covered?
Oh man, I'm trying to remember the last one we played that we said had Eurojank. Dude, it might have been Ultimate Fishing Simulator with Bit Golem being Ukrainian.
Yeah, I think that was Polish.
Or it might have been Polish or Ukrainian, one of the two.
Are Poles Slavs? I actually genuinely don't know.
I don't know either. But
I'll look it up.
But either way, it's been a while. And apparently
it's been a while since we played something from Eastern Europe in general, is what we mean.
And I do want to say, because
yes, Poles are a Slavic ethnic group. They're West Slavic. Along with Czechs, Slovaks, and Wends.
I want to put this out on Front Street. Adam shared this to the Discord. I do recognize that there is some controversy behind the dude who made this game. And some stuff that he's been involved in, like his ex-wife has accused him of kidnapping their son.
Holy shit.
And things of that nature. So I do acknowledge that this is kind of a controversial game developer of sorts.
Yeah, just needless to say, we do not play this game because we endorse the actions of every artist behind it, as with every other game.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been made by a genius. It could have been made by a dipshit. We're a game review podcast, not a life review podcast.
Exactamundo, my good sir. Now.
But if it turns out it's really inexcusable bullshit, then yeah, I'm going to fucking harp on it later.
So what was your first impression with Pathologic 2? Because boy, what an opener.
My God. Okay, so my first knowledge of this game was so many people saying, hey, play this game, go in blind, don't know anything about it, just fucking do it. And when it came up for the poll, I was so excited and hoped it would win. So I'm happy that it did. My first impression playing this game was, oh my God, this is the most confusing, artsy, spooky, abstract thing I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, I can't disagree.
Like, there's so many of these trappings of live theater, especially like even to where like one of the main things you see are these like masked stagehand looking dudes, and it's like you saw humans transforming into those during the prologue, and it was all very much like, is there anything in this game I can take literally? And even up to the point I played, I had no idea what in the dialogue I was supposed to take literally.
That didn't really change for me much.
I kind of figured.
There was definitely some parts that I was like, what the hell is going on here? But
even when you arrive in the town and it's a little bit saner, like all the dialogue is still really cryptic. Like, cryptic is the buzzword of this game.
Yeah. So first impression as well, man, like starting off on the train, you know, you're just in a train car and all of a sudden a fucking coffin falls over. Well,
there's even a prologue before you get onto the train, which was like kind of a fail state for like, you start off basically you fucked up the first time around, and you get to see like the whole town falling apart. People and things are on fire. Clearly the plague is spread to a point where you're trying to get to the cathedral to defend your actions as a surgeon to the people that actually have any say of things and tell them, no, I do have a cure. We can stop this. And they're just like, we don't believe you. We're going to raise the town. And then you end up in like a weird stage, and it's like, on the stage, like the director of the play basically tells you, you know, we'll give you one more chance to do it over, but we don't see it going any differently.
Yeah. And
then you end up on the train.
And then it puts you on the train, the coffin falls over, and the guy gets out, and immediately he's just like, can I ask you a question? And to the point that I got at in the game, my vibe, that dude in the beginning that you're talking with, is death.
Yeah, he's definitely, I mean, I spoke to the train conductor very early on, and he says you were the only alive human on the train.
Yeah. Yeah. So immediately I'm like, who? Okay.
Yeah.
So when in the opening of this episode, I said, buckle up. This is not a happy game. This is not a happy story. You get off the train after the beginning sequences, which leave you with a lot of questions. You know, you're like,
actually, can I go even first to your first impressions?
Yeah, please.
I want to talk about the menu for a moment. When you open up the game, it literally has a difficulty slider, and it tells you like the highest difficulty mode is labeled something like unfair or something like that. And it's like, this is the intentional setting. This game is supposed to be punishing and not fun to play.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up, because I watched a developer thing, or someone was talking about the development of it. So here's the thing with Pathologic 2. It did not have that slider originally. People bitched and complained that game was so hard that they finally put those sliders in begrudgingly. But here's the only reason why they put the sliders in. Because you can also make the game harder with the sliders. And they were very excited at the thought of people making the game harder for themselves. So they added it in, and they were like, all right, well, this will appease people, but it will also like can make it even harder for people. But yeah, this game is intentionally hard as fuck. And it's
anything you do to heal one of your 5 power meters basically makes the other one worse. If you eat some toast to cure your hunger, you gain thirst, etc., etc.
If you run, it drains your stamina, but it also makes you thirsty.
I noticed that very quickly because I'm like, damn, I'm getting thirsty.
Yeah. So the game is very open and honest with you. And I think that you brought up the comment where it's like the game openly tells you you're not going to succeed. You're not going to help everyone.
Can't save everybody.
Yeah, you can't save everybody. It is not possible. And then the game gives you a wink and a nod and tells you, now go save everyone. And up Front Street, neither of us beat this game.
I didn't get particularly close. Like I mentioned earlier on, I had some bouts with depression. Couldn't really get the game going for the most part. Ended up watching some YouTube videos so I could at least comment somewhat intelligently. I did play it for around an hour. So if you want to discard me as being a new jack, I promise I'm not going to give this game a numerical score. So we're just going to talk about, the things we do know about it.
Yeah. I didn't beat it. I put a decent amount of time into it, but I think I'm still only in chapter 2 or 3. I guess spoilers. You end up having to deal with the plague in this game. It's one of the main driving stories. And I had gotten to where it was just starting to spread. And I started getting what I call the birthday blues and just wasn't in the mood to play this game anymore. Because it was like, I need a happy escape. I don't need to go from doom scrolling Twitter, which I got rid of. Proud of myself. I got rid of Twitter off my phone.
Oh, yeah. GG.
And I just didn't feel like going from, doom scrolling that to then playing a game that was also sad. So I ended up.
Yeah, this one may have hit at a bad time for both of us.
Yeah, and it's nothing against the game itself. You know what I mean? Because the game is setting out.
The game is using misery for ludonarrative reasons. So I can't hold that against it whatsoever.
Yes.
Ludonarrative is a word I'm going to use a lot when describing this game because it feels like the main goal was everything in the game design is there to emphasize the bleakness of the story. Yes.
And let's talk about just atmosphere for a minute because this game does that in spades.
From the architecture and design of everything, where it's like a kind of a place at a time where it could have taken place somewhere in like communist Europe, anywhere between like 1910 not 1910 wouldn't have been communism, between like the 1920s and the 1960s or so. But it's also Mongolia, and it's also like it's a place that's not really exactly anywhere. It's nowhere in no time. And even once you get to the actual gameplay, there's all these illusions that almost like kind of, how like the Mario 3 theory that everything in it's a play because you can see like the shadows and bolts and all that. There's almost that feeling where there's like visible spotlights and stuff.
Yes. And one of the examples that I can think of is when you're finishing up for the first night, it lets you know that every night at midnight, or it might be 10 o'clock, it's one of the two, there's a stage play that you can go and watch in the community theater. And how it tells you that is you're walking by one of the like little pillar things that has a poster on it. And all of a sudden a spotlight comes out of nowhere and just shines on it. And you go over there and you look at it and that's when it tells you. But here's the thing with Pathologic 2. The first character that they made available, Pathologic, is the Horospex or whatever it was called. I'm not great with that word, but Horospex. That was one of the characters from the first game, like I mentioned, but that was the hardest character to play in the first one because when you start out, you get off the train, there are 3 people immediately dead because they try to jump you and you have to kill them. So that doesn't start you off great. And everyone in the town assumes that you killed your father.
Yeah. By the way, you get 10 minutes into the game and your dad's dead, who was the person that summoned you to town that you took this long journey for, because he was the only surgeon and doctor in town, really. And you've been training surgery far, far away. And by the time you get there, it is already too late and it's all starting to fall apart. Because not only is that happening, but there's also a killer on the loose. and people seem to believe it is some sort of steppe-demon.
Yeah, so
Steppe as in like Mongolian steppes, not step demon as in what are you doing in the washing machine.
yeah, the steppe people are very interesting because they're almost like tribesmen in a way. But I do want to talk a little bit more about the little tutorial section that it has you do, because it teaches you to, you know, talk to the NPCs and stuff, and it shows you the NPCs have a very uncomfortable closeness to them when you're talking to them. Like it zooms in really closely on their face and they're lit really eerily. But one of the things it does is that then it takes you talk with the devil on the train, on the talk to death, and then all of a sudden you're just ported into like a circle of stone with people standing around it, and you have to fist fight this guy for a while and then trade hearts. That's how the game teaches you how to trade. So when you're in the game and you're playing as the hearts book. So you get into town and no one likes you. So your reputation is shit everywhere in the town, which makes the game very difficult, because if people don't trust you, they won't trade with you. And that is a seriously important part of the game, is trading. So the first thing that's on my to-do list was go around and find stuff that I could trade, and children will trade with you no matter what. So I learned quickly that I could go and rummage through trash cans and stuff and find things that kids like, go up to it and just trade it to them with nothing in return, and it would raise the standing in the areas. So then I was able to go and trade with adults.
Here's some marbles, kid. Have a good time.
Yeah. Here's some marbles and a piece of, and some broken scissors. Enjoy yourself. And then eventually it was like, here, kid, take these 3 buttons that I have and I'll take your bullets. Thank you. Like,
love all these children carrying around bullets and morphine, by the way.
yeah. And like healing meds. But the kicker is I worked hard to save up for a pistol, and I finally bought the pistol. And I got to use it to defend myself all of like 5 or 6 times before it malfunctioned, because its repair went all the way down. So I have to get it repaired, but I have not been, for the life of me, been able to find the items that I need to get someone to repair it. So let me go ahead and get this out of the way. Did you get to combat at all? Because combat's janky as shit.
It looked it. Even the tutorial combat, the fight on the Mongolian steppe was really, I mean, I get the idea that it's not supposed to be pleasurable. Again, it's a game where things are bad. Being even slightly outnumbered means you're pretty much dead. That being said, it didn't seem like a game where it was supposed to be any good. The combat fun to play at all. And even beyond that, it still seems janky.
Yeah, it wasn't a smooth experience, but like you can tell that like combat's wasn't their main focus. And nor should it be with a game like this. But
it definitely shouldn't be a game where you feel like you do about like Skyrim Raiders or whatever.
But you are a doctor or a surgeon or a butcher, whatever they're referred to as. And your job is to try to help the town and save them. You have some friends. One of your friends hates you because he thinks you killed your dad. The other one is this girl, and she helps you out, and she's really sweet. But through your actions throughout the game, you can possibly get her to contract the plague, or you can basically the game turns into everyone's getting the plague and you need to try to stop it. Who are you going to save and who are you going to let die?
And something I thought was really interesting that Mandalore Gaming on his video review of this game really harped on was the things you could be using to save those people from the plague are also things you need to heal yourself.
Yep.
So you're literally sacrificing possibly your own health and safety just to do this work.
Now, something else about Pathologic too. Talking about kicking you while you're down. If you die, there's a scene where you go and you talk to the director, and he will be like, all right, yeah, you can try again, but it's going to cost you some of your health. So it gives you a permanent health and stamina debuff that is now affects all of your saves. So like if you've been, keeping different save slots at different points and all of that throughout the game, they are now all affected by this, not just your most recent save. So that's wild. They just took out save scumming completely. They're like, no, that's not going to work around this part, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's some real... Well, I would almost bring up the games that it reminds me of, but I don't want to do spoilers for those games.
Yeah, it's.
But there are definitely some games you can think of where there are cross-save file choices like that.
Yeah, for sure. But again, this game's atmosphere and music to me is its biggest draw. The story... Oh,
the audio is incredible for the most part. Like, the music is real. Like, the music, I was almost like, wow, I'm vibing way too much to this music considering how much this place sucks.
It absolutely just sucks. There are a few different, there are normal humans, and then there are, these turtle-looking people, And then there
They were
are
really cool looking.
Then there are the mime people, which are just in black bodysuits with a mime mask on. That's the only thing I know how to describe it as.
It's a really striking mask. It just has like round holes for the eyes and a same shaped round hole for the mouth. So they always look a little surprised. And the outfit they're wearing, this black morph suit, they basically look like mimes meet stagehands.
Yeah, think the mask from Spirited Away, but like a hockey mask almost.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you imagine the no faces from Spirited Away, you're like 80% there.
Yeah. But yeah, man, the overall gist,
or not the no faces, the Kodamas.
The overall gist is bleakness, barrenness, making tough decisions. And did you get to see the giant, what they called the polyhedron?
Only in video. I didn't encounter it in the game.
So that big fucking thing, you end up finding out that thing's a giant spike and it's going into the ground and it's like a good foot or two away from the literal heart of the earth. And in the end of the game, and spoilers for people, but at the end of Pathologic 2, you have to make an ultimate choice. Save the town and doom the planet, basically, or you can save the polyhedron and not have it blown up. The army then blows nukes and levels the town, wiping out the plague, because it was the polyhedron being stabbed into the earth that released the plague in the first place, which was done by your father. So your father was your father was the first plague victim, and he unleashed it onto the town on purpose, basically.
Damn.
I know. It like I said, this game never gets happier, right? You just keep finding
That's a very full circle bit of storytelling, though. That is a satisfying conclusion, at least.
And
not a happy one, but a satisfying one.
The two endings is you can have the army blow up the polyhedron and it falls out, but then the earth basically dies because there's now a bleeding, gaping wound right by its heart, and the earth, quote unquote, bleeds out. Or you save the polyhedron, you level the town, and everyone dies, but the earth is saved. And everyone inside the polyhedron.
Man, Russians are so fucking happy as a people.
Right? Now, I don't know about 2, but I know that the ending of 1, after you make those decisions and everything, you get taken to another cutscene where it's just 2 kids, and the whole like map of the town thing is just this diagram little thing that they have that's like a toy sandbox that is magic and it's real life. It actually happened. So the whole thing is just the imagination of children who are they're at a funeral and they're dealing with death. If that's the way Pathologic 2 ends as well, then I guess good on them, because it's a remake and a reboot. I don't know if they expanded the ending anymore, but I know that's how the first one ended. And yeah, dude, it's just bleak the whole way through. There's no happy ending. I find this interesting to call this a game. I would almost call this more of like an experience with gameplay elements.
I mean, that's definitely... The thing is, this is like games as art, where it feels like the gameplay itself is in the service of the art, rather than a game that has artistic aspirations. But because of that, it also makes it really hard to judge the gameplay, because it's not supposed to be nice, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's places too where I feel like they could have been cruel for cruelty's sake. Like, at least there's a really solid map and journaling system, and you can check your reputation and all that. There are quality of life things. It's not like they made the game bad on purpose, but they made the game cruel on purpose.
Yeah. Especially recommending that you play on the hardest difficulty. Like, that's just that's just they want you to suffer. But that's the name of the game, is suffering. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on? Because I know there's one other thing that I wanted to touch on.
We brought up the sound design. We brought up the game is originally Russian too, which means we are playing a translation of the game. The original voice and writing was in Russian.
Yeah. So
if there's any weakness to the voice acting, which I didn't think there was, I thought the voice acting was surprisingly good.
I thought it was quite well.
I really enjoyed the voice acting. Didn't match up to what they were saying either. Like, you would talk to a person who would do that uncomfortable zoom up, and then like they would speak a line, but it wasn't a line from the dialogue. It was just something giving you an idea about that person's state of mind.
Yeah, and some of them were really quite cool. I can't remember right off the bat like one in my head, but some of them had really like profound things to say, and then you read what they're actually saying to you, and they're being a dick to you or something, and it's like, well, what the...
Also, I want to say, because I didn't get far enough into it, I didn't really get to know the characters, but I really did like the kid with the wolf's head.
Oh, yeah. The one that you meet right there at the beginning?
Yeah. By the way, when I sent you that screenshot of the game malfunctioning and the train looking like the head of a character, that's who that was.
Yeah, I kind of remember, I was like, I think he's supposed to be sitting.
Yeah, he was sitting on the train. It just took it a moment to load in, right?
Yeah, and I think even Mandalore touches on like the quest that I had to do when it had to do with that kid. You had to go over to Notkin and talk to him, which was this kid who like runs like a gang of children. And he tells you that he needs to handle this other, and it's that kid, the wolf kid. And he's like, give him this leash. He'll know what it means. So I went to him and I talked to him and stuff. And he said something about just kill me. And I didn't kill him. I gave him the leash. And then I go back to that kid later and he was like mentally fucked. So I don't know what Notkin and those other kids did to him, but he was like acting just like he was their pet at that point. It was wild. I really loved the design of the plague doctors.
Oh yeah.
They looked super cool, man. Like they had like glowing orange eyes with these long bird masks on and stuff. And like they were two of the characters that you meet right there at the beginning. And they just basically both tell you like, you're fucked. Good luck.
Yep. That literally you're going to die in 12 days unless you don't bandage that, in which case you're going to die now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like one or the other. They're just, here's how it's going to happen. And then you talk to the little actor guy sitting behind him and he's like, he's lying. Don't listen to him. Yada, yada, yada. And then you're like, oh shit. Well, now who do I believe? And I played like 8 hours of this game and I still have no idea who to believe.
Yeah, because like everyone in the game is very cryptic too. Oh, and a lot of the stuff that they're saying is in your native language, which I think might be Mongolian. I'm not sure. But so there's a bunch of terminology that your character's still relearning because he's been away from town for so long.
Yeah, and the fact...
Which I thought was interesting. You're a stranger in your hometown. You're an alien visitor, essentially.
What I want to know is how do they think that you killed your dad when you just got to town and everyone found him dead? Like, it's weird.
It's shown very early on that there's no sense left and they blame everyone for everything. You literally run into like a woman naked and stabbed in the street and another woman being burned at the stake within the first like 5 minutes of arriving to town.
Oh man, when I wandered up, I didn't wander up on the lady burning at the stake at first. I like explored around the town on accident before that. So I was like 40 minutes in and I just happened upon that and was like, holy shit.
I'm kind of a dumbass and went straight on the map to where it said my dad was. And then I saw that scene.
Yeah, dude, they didn't shy away from it. The screams and stuff. It was pretty fucking hardcore. But this is a very niche game. This game is for a specific type of gamer, and I'm not 100% sure that I am that type of gamer.
If you thought The Seventh Seal was a little too optimistic of a movie, this is for you. You artsy, depressed bastard. So,
I know you said that you weren't going to give this a rating, right?
Well, I have a rating for us. I wasn't going to give it a numeric rating on a scale.
Oh, okay. Well, then what is your rating for it, my good sir?
Okay. So on the SCP Wiki, you know this stuff already, but I'm going to explain for the benefits of the audience. They have a system of classifying each of the anomalies that basically relates to how difficult something is to contain. 90% of the anomalies are rated either safe, Euclid, or Keter, which, metaphorically speaking, in what they call the box analogy, safe means if you put this in a box, it will stay in the box and you don't have to worry about it. Euclid means if you put this in a box and lock it, you'll probably be okay. And Keter means if you put it in a box and look away, it'll escape. And then another 9% of them are tagged as either explained, which is we no longer need to keep this in a box because we now know what it is and so does everyone else, or neutralized, which means we broke it. There's no reason to put it in a box anymore. 1% of the other entries are something completely different, what they call esoteric classes. And so I would like to score this game the score of Apollyon on the SCP Wiki, which is basically the super Keter ranking that means we can't keep this in a box and there's no way to break it.
Where is Thalmiel on? Is that one of the esoteric ones?
Thalmiel is the box itself is the anomaly.
Ah, okay. I like that, Apollyon. Yeah, I just read something that was Apollyon the other day, and I was like, oh shit.
It tends to only be used in either K-class end of the world scenarios or artificial canons where the world has already ended.
All right, man. That's a totally suitable rating.
I just felt like I should completely break from the numeric scale because this game completely breaks from my understanding of how a game should work as a fun piece of entertainment.
Yeah.
Again, I brought up the comparison to The Seventh Seal, where when I watched it, I didn't necessarily enjoy it, but it was a damn good movie.
Let's see. If I were to give this a rating, now I'm going to try to give it a non-numerical rating too, just to fit the cycle. I'm just going to rate this game a Plague Doctor, because, it's fitting. And I feel like sprinkle a Plague Doctor with some locusts and frogs, And that's
definitely a couple different types of plagues going on here.
But yeah, man, that's Pathologic 2. Sorry if we didn't go too deep into it. Like we said, when neither of us beat it, we've been both having a little bit of a mental tiff. But for what it is, if you were looking for that type of experience, definitely go for it. If it piqued your interest and you're like, man, this sounds like these guys didn't give this game justice, well, then you're probably right. You should go play it anyway.
We've kind of really did some very narrative heavy games the last few weeks.
Yeah, that's very true. That is very true.
And games that are better experienced in playing them format than podcast format, unfortunately.
So then we have a few show questions, I believe, that I forgot to copy over, but that's okay, because I believe most of them were just questions. Let's see. All right, so you have to, this one I can just describe. You have to pick one per row. So we got ABC, 1, 2, 3, and XYZ, right? In the top, we got A, the Whopper, B, the Big Mac, C, the Baconator. For the fries, we got 1, Burger King, 2, McDonald's, 3, Wendy's. And for the bottom XYZ row, we got X is a Sundae, Y is a McFlurry, Z is a Frosty. This is relatively easy for me.
Okay.
Out of these choices, I'm going Big Mac, McDonald's fries, and a Frosty.
Okay. I feel like that's very solid. Yeah, the Baconator never hit with me. Like, they made it to be super excessive, and I don't even think it really pulls it off correctly. It's just unbalanced.
Yeah, I get one every now and then, and when I'm like halfway through it, I'm like, yeah. Oh, I just sneezed midway talking to that, but yeah, it's just like, yeah.
It's just fucking salt. It's just fucking salt. It just tastes like salt and bacon.
Yeah.
The Big Mac is a very good sandwich. It's also, unfortunately, pretty much a 1-to-1 copy of the original Big Boy sandwich, so it's hard to give any credit to McDonald's for. So I'm going to let my brother down, who I know hates Burger King.
I love a Whopper.
And pick the Whopper.
I love a Whopper, bro.
I love the Whopper. It's a very good burger. When I was a kid, I used to get it without mayo and add cheese. These days, I actually like mayo a lot more than I used to, so I just get it the way it comes.
Yes, sir. Double Whopper with cheese, please. Yeah.
Oh, add cheese is pretty good too, yeah. The fries, I feel like everything on Burger King's menu that isn't either a signature burger or a chicken item is the grossest thing I've ever eaten. I feel like Wendy's fries, the science fries, they're pretty good. McDonald's, you have to appear really when the fries are fresh. If you get them fresh, they're the best. If they've been sitting, they ain't. Wendy's is a more consistent experience. As far as the milkshake category goes, or the ice cream category rather, I would have picked the Dairy Queen Blizzard if that was available. But I feel like the Frosty just has a fantastic.
Yeah.
It just goes.
Unfortunately, my local Wendy's, it's like when they have their fries and they are screaming hot, they're delicious. Just like Burger King fries, if they're screaming hot, they're delicious. But they get cold and floppy. Not even ketchup saves those, but at least cold McDonald's fries can be saved with a little ketchup.
I feel like even Burger King fries I've had screaming hot and still limp somehow.
Oh, well then maybe the Middleburg Burger King around here just doubled their fries. Because every now and then I go there and I get a large fry, and every one of my fries is like what I call bowling alley fries, where they're just like crispy but soft on the inside. But yeah. It's a rarity. I'll give you that. It's a rarity. All right.
So that's, I guess my answer is going to be A3Z.
So our next question was based on that one. Dane came in and said, until we have a bacon-wrapped fried chicken buns for our McKinley Macs that are stuffed with American cheese and served with a cup of bacon grease to dip it in, this country will never reach its true glory. Here's a question. Can you come up with a fast food abomination to top that? Because I can feel my arteries clogging just thinking about this thing. Make America morbidly obese again.
Oh, absolutely. Easiest question you've ever asked. Way back in the day, I believe Pizza Hut first brought it to the mass market when they introduced the stuffed crust pizza to Americans. And by the way, speaking of make whatever again, I do remember that horrible commercial where Donald Trump ate those backwards. So kind of brings it full circle. Can't believe we have voted for a guy that eats pizza like that. Anyway, so then I've also seen pizzas with the cheese and pizza sauce stuffed into the crust. So my answer is, let's make a pizza stuffed crust pizza. Entire ass pizza rolled up into a crust.
Okay. I didn't know where you were going with that, because I thought you were going to hate on stuffed crust pizza at first. And I was like, dude, I love cheese stuffed crust pizza. It's so good.
Oh, I even like Bosco sticks, which are just basically the crust of a stuffed crust pizza by itself.
So good.
Dude, I'm a fucking fried mott stick fan as well. I do love just useless melted cheese. I feel like we touched on this earlier.
All right, Dane. I'm nice and in the right mind for this kind of question. So we're going to take a half-pound patty and we're going to put it down. 2 slices American cheese melted on top of that. Another half-pound patty. 2 slices cheddar cheese melted onto that. Now, we're going to take a scoop of pulled pork, stick it on there. Now, we're going to take the innards of Philly cheesesteak. So Philly meat, some provolone melted cheese, some onions, and some peppers. And we're going to stick it on top of the pulled pork. Now, we are going to take a block of mozzarella cheese and we're going to cut a nice bread-sized piece of mozzarella cheese. A nice thick, let's say inch thick. And we're going to get 2 of those. And we're going to bread them and we're going to fry them. And those are going to be our buns. Now, when we're assembling this burger, it's going to go burger, or it's going to go mozzarella stick thing, burger, pulled pork, Philly cheese, bacon jam, mozzarella stick on top. You have to stick a skewer through it. Good luck eating it, but it's served with a pound of fries.
That's a hell of an act. What do you call it?
The big act.
The Aristocrats.
Oh, the Aristocats. I had that movie. Wow.
I did too.
What would I call that burger? I think I would call it the excess.
How about the Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, we could call it that too. Mount Rushmore.
Just because McKinley Mac made me think of presidential shit.
I still want to know what a fucking McKinley Mac is.
It's just a Big Mac where you use the quarter pounder with cheese patties instead of the Big Mac patties.
Yo, I love going and getting a double quarter pounder and being like, yo, let me get mac sauce on that.
Yeah. Same vibe.
All right. So we got a couple more questions. That came from Dane. The first one came in from Jeff. And
thank you, you hungry bitches.
These last ones come in from Adam. What did you prioritize in Pathologic and why?
I wouldn't say I got far enough in to make a lot of meaningful choices, to be honest.
Adam, I prioritized raising my reputation so I could trade with more people.
I feel like that's where I would have wanted to go to, because it made me very sad when I went from you are unknown to you are disliked here in every area, like 15 minutes in.
Every area.
Except the ones where only rats live here. Also, I do like that the reputation system is like district based. So you can be more reputable in one district and still be hated in another.
Yeah. It made for interesting, especially since all of the districts were named after body parts.
Yeah, like the spleen or whatever.
It was really kind of like an allegory of your blood cells getting sick and dying and stuff too. There's a lot of like weird things you could take away from this game as like what it's actually about. But so the next question he had, if you had to survive in a plague infected city, how would you survive?
Is fucking leave an option?
I mean, I would do what I did last time I survived a plague infected city, and that's wear a mask when I'm out in public and fucking stay home a lot.
Yeah, deep quarantine, I think, has to be the answer. Just minimize your exposure.
Yeah, that's the only way you can do it. And get out if that's a possibility too. Unless you're in like a Raccoon City situation in which good luck.
I was going to say if the fucking military is on the border and trying to keep you from getting out.
And his last question, and the final question that we have, did you change any of the difficulty sliders?
I am pleased to announce that despite being a well-known difficulty bitch and cheater, Dalton actually kept it on the hardest difficulty that the game said was intended, as did I.
Yeah, and it knocked my dick in the dirt, but it was supposed to, so it felt right.
We had the exact bad time it intended.
Yeah, exactly. We had the misery that was meant to be portrayed, for sure.
I miss the misery.
Let's see. I think
that's all of our questions.
Yeah, that's all the questions. So like that leaves, what are we playing next, my good sir? It is your choice.
Well, I feel like I may have tipped my hand a little bit a couple times in this episode, but I figure people probably weren't certain that was the answer. But no, with the release date of the sequel already being announced and only 4 months to go, we got to play the 5th game in the mainline series, get around to Doom Eternal. After all that misery, I could really use some happy violence.
Hey man, sounds good to me. I've heard Doom Eternal's real good, so I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, it's just going to be relaxing to just kind of go through and mow down enemies with a gun that won't just stop working.
Yeah, I think what I've learned recently, and I said this to you off before the recording, I don't think I like survival games or survival horror games, and I'm starting to think I may not like horror games that are more than an hour long.
I tell you, I find myself playing games like Ark or Enshrouded. I'll even go back to like Valheim, right? I enjoy those games most when I can go into the settings and turn off hunger and having to eat and sleep and stuff, because I just want to roam around, get stuff, and build and see cool
I think
shit.
maybe that's why I'm liking fucking Satisfactory so much, because there's not the survival element. It's basically just straight up a power bar that recovers over time, and if you eat some food, you heal faster. It's just about mining and building.
Yeah. See, that sounds rad. I might have asked Amelie to let me borrow that, so I'll have to check it out at some point.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, man, is there anything you'd like to plug before I run through the show notes and we get out of here?
Well, you mentioned it earlier, but I would like to give a shout out to the Team Retrogue show. It's been keeping our normal co-host of late busy, and I appreciate that he's doing a lot of important work trying to make sure people know what to and what not to, purchase in the many realms of handheld and controller things that he deals with. I feel like the tenor of his show tends to be very, very good at both, comparing specs, but also viewing consoles and handhelds as value proposition. I think he does a wonderful job with that, with the editing, with the choice of music, with the footage, all of that. I think he's a great reviewer. And if you're interested in something that's more review-like than our dumb shit goof around fun hours, check out Team Retrogue on YouTube.
Yes, he is much more professional on his YouTube channel than we are here at the Steam Machine.
Professional is a very good word for it, yes.
Yeah, definitely go check him out. And while I'm thinking about it, even though I just wrote it into the show notes, but I'll go ahead and do it here because I'd like to give it its own little platform. Dane and I have started a new venture where once a month, every month on the 21st, you will get a brand new episode of Grumpy Jeff's Pro Wrestling Power Hour, where me and Dane chat about, we're going to be chatting about like Monday Night Raws that are on Netflix since he started watching those. So that'll be a topic. But we'll always have a main event because Dane is a brand new wrestling fan. So he has got so much to see. So our first episode was covering what made it click for him, which was Undertaker Mankind Hell in a Cell. Now, we discussed that we weren't going to announce what our next main event was going to be on the episodes because it could change between, times and everything, or, maybe not decide what it is. But I'm pretty hell-bent on this next one of what it's going to be. I already told them what they are. So I feel confident that I can announce what it is for the people that are listening that may care of the, the crossover episodes. But like it is going to be the rivalry between the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, and Edge and Christian. So that first ladder match, then TLC 1, TLC 2, and the much forgotten TLC 3, which happened on a SmackDown. So you have that to look forward to. Grumpy Jeff's Pro Wrestling Power Hour.
Some very excellent matches there. They really used the tables, ladders, and chairs of TLC fame to make incredible spots. Like, I still think of being speared off the ladder while dangling from the thing. Like, an all-time classic. Oh, God,
yeah. Jeff and Edge, man. What a spot.
Mm-hmm.
What a spot. But, yeah, so there's that to look forward to. But other than that, man, I guess I'll just run through this quickly. If you would please leave us a review over on iTunes or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. That would be sweet. It helps on the algorithm, helps people find the show because I am bad at self-promotion. If you want to join the Discord, that's where all the cool shit happens, and you can vote on the games for the show. bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters. You want a link to the website that's kept up to date by one Mr. Puzzles Dane himself. bit.ly/The Steam Machine Podcast, capitalized phonetically. Patreon, if you want to donate to the show. It helps me keep the lights on, ladies and gentlemen, and is very much appreciated. It is patreon.com/The Steam Machine Podcast. $1 a month gets you the episodes early and gets you the extra banter at the beginning of each and every episode. But $10 or more a month gets you that, plus your name read on each and every episode like these wonderful people. Nate Sir Cogsworth, 7th of June-iper, Jeff, the original Expendable, Mr. Syllables, old Jeffy Lube, who is also a duck, Ariesoradam, shout out to his podcast, Revival and Extinction, Team Retrogue, go check him out over on YouTube, Mr. Puzzles, Dane himself, Chad the Mad Lad, no goddamn seeing his last name, Shaffer, Flyin Brian, Doran Gray, the RPG Wolverine, Logan Joreid, and Biltzy the Dragon. Thank you very much. You are all wonderful, wonderful people, and I love you dearly. Shout out to JRPG Report, bi-weekly JRPG show that I do, news, all that kind of jazz. You like my music? It's over on Bandcamp, Now the Nightmare. Check me out. Other than that, man, we'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about slaying some demons. We'll have Mikolov back with us, and I'm looking very much forward to it, my good sir.
I only have a couple closing notes. One, highly recommend Mandalore Gaming. I used his video on Pathologic 2 to help me fill in some gaps from my not having the executive function to play the game this week, essentially. And I'd also like to say, Taco Bell, bring back the Cravings box, you cowards.
Oh man, that Cravings box was awesome. Also, Mandalore Gaming, one of my favorite YouTubers. So yeah, I agree with Willie. Go check him out. Mando's the man. He's got, if you want to absolutely laugh while learning about a game that you can't believe is real, go watch his video on the mystery of the druids.
Oh, we already have 2 druid emotes in our Discord server.
Yes, sir. And that's because of Mando. It's because I even know that exists. Nice. And then he did some other game.
You mentioned his marathon series that I should check out soon.
Yeah, he did Marathon, and that was really good. He did some other game that's like notorious for stealing assets. Like it had assets from Diablo. It had assets from Oblivion. There was a character whose name was Cranny F word, European for cigarette. Let's put it that way. Like, very, very weird game that like didn't go. Just strange. But Mystery of the Druids episode, hilarious. Mandalore Gaming, check him out. Willie, good pick, man. I'm looking forward to playing some Doom.
Rip and tear till it's done, baby.
And on that note, everybody, we need to go rip and tear. So until next time. Take it easy and kill some demons.